What's poppin', everyone? My name is Ajwritescrypto. It is Tuesday, July 29th. Thanks for tuning into the live stream. Got a bunch to talk about today. Got some really exciting news. Got a handful of charts. I got one trade that set up is looking prime, and I can't wait to get into that. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for the birthday wishes over the weekend. I turned 34. I can't believe I'm 34. What the hell? I turned 34 on Sunday. And I had a really great weekend, had a bunch of friends and family over, had a little party, played some cornhole, hung out. It was a really good time. Yeah, sorry for missing the live stream yesterday. Yesterday, Jada and I flew off island to do some shopping because my sister, Tori, is getting married this coming weekend. Big shout out to TT. Very excited for her wedding. And of course, her to-be husband, Andrew, is a really great guy. And Jada and I are both in the wedding party. So we had to get like the correct color suit and dress and everything to be up there with my sister and her husband for their wedding day in a couple of days. Yeah, literally, it's this coming weekend is the wedding. So yeah, so sorry for missing the live stream yesterday. We do plan to, really hone in on the live stream this week. I believe we're doing today. I believe we're doing Wednesday. We might take off Thursday, but members only is 100% on Friday. Also, we have been working on getting back to all of the emails for the Telegram group. People have come. I don't like having too many employees. I learned the lesson of having too many employees from one of my previous employers. The last time I had a real job, there were too many people there. And I realized that it does not take, a bunch of people to just run a YouTube channel and a Twitter and an Instagram. You know what I mean? And I have run an absolute skeleton crew to not push out all the money that we're bringing in. Obviously I'm not scared to hire people if they're really good at what they do, but it's also one of those things. I don't want more than 4 or 5 people on my payroll. Because of that, we did get a little bit behind on the emails. I did apologize for that. We are slowly but surely getting through all the emails now. There are hundreds of them. So if you send an email to get into the Telegram group, we will get to you. We promise. And also, I did tell the Telegram group I have a couple setups that I'm going to show you on today's show, but there's also a couple setups that you're not going to get on today's show that will only be given to the Telegram group a little bit after the show. If you'd like to sign up for the Telegram group, send an email to ajalphagroup@gmail.com. Everything's down below in the description. Also, I got to say, in 11 motherfucking days, someone from my audience is going to win a brand new Tesla Model 3. If you don't want the car, we will give you $42,490 in crypto. Imagine adding $42,000 to your bags right now as we're having a little retest before we wake up Q3, Q4 this year. You could turn that 42,000, literally into 300, 400,000. Like, I'm not even kidding. And this is a really big opportunity. There's also $1,500 up for vet. 15 people are going to win $100 in VeChain, and 10 people are going to get exclusive VeChain merch packs that you cannot buy. You can only get this merch from this giveaway. All right. So a lot of good stuff there. Make sure you go to my Twitter. It's pinned at the top, and it's the tweet that I just put out. Sign up for the Tesla giveaway. It's always the people that say, "Oh, I never win giveaways." Those are the people that end up winning my giveaways. And of course, we'll do the drawing live and everything like that. Really looking forward to it. Also, excited. This is like completely off topic, but I'm really excited about it. So here's my normal phone, and things have been getting too crazy, too hectic, too much crossover between work and business and everything. So AJ, yesterday, I got a second phone, and it's actually really fun to have a second phone. And if you are super busy with your business and you have a lot going on in your personal life, I had a friend tell me, AJ, dude, you need to get another phone. Like, I know it sounds redundant, but it's not, because when your family sees you on this phone, that's why I got a pink case that's really loud. If they see you on this phone, they know you're not like messing off on Instagram. They know like you're working. So like it's like a cue to, hey guys, like I'm plugged in right now. Give me a minute. Because it's just a little business tip. already 24 hours in, it's so nice having a second phone. I must say, it's very, it might seem redundant, but it's not, because things were getting way too hectic just with my one phone. So shout out to the 2 phone gang. Shout out to everybody in the chat. LJ, Ham, Mike, Fred, Trippy, Boondock Saints, Jason, Owen, Capperman, everybody. Appreciate you. You guys are awesome. Make sure you smash the like button early in the show to get us running in the algorithm so we can get to at least over 100 people. We're almost at 50. Guys, make sure you smash like if you're watching on Twitter as well. All right, so let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of the Okay. Well, that was something. Let's hope the show picks back up to where it was. I am on my phone. Okay, I can see myself on my phone. Sorry about that. Sometimes my Wi-Fi here is really good. I obviously do live on an island in Washington, but sometimes it gets a little buggy on me and it drives me a little crazy. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. I absolutely hate when that happens. Let me finish fixing my stuff here, get back to the things. It's always something. It's always something. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure you smash the like. Let's get back into the show. Sorry about that. Let's hope it doesn't happen again. All right. Oh, looking at Algorand price predictions. Maybe we'll do another one of those since things have changed drastically since the last time I made an Algorand price prediction. And also, that roadmap's coming out. And the cool thing about the roadmap coming out is that literally next week, I will be at Rare Evo in Las Vegas, and I get to have a live. I'm on a panel with Mark, the CMO of Algorand. I get to pick his brain. I get to pick his brain about that new roadmap and getting, maybe I'll get a little bit more alpha out of him. We'll see. Big shout out to Mark. Looking forward to that. But yeah, maybe there will be a new Algorand price prediction video coming out here pretty soon. All right, let's try again with the gainers and the losers. Get the refresh. There we go. Okay. XDC network, one that I actually used to really pay attention to and be bullish on. It was one of the, back when ISO mattered, that was like a ISO type narrative. And it was actually a coin when I did my, I believe at the end of 2023. Yeah, I did a top 5 or top 10 video for like the coins to watch next year. And XDC was actually on that list. It did not really do that well, but it also didn't do that bad either. It was kind of like a right down the middle coin. As you can see here, it did have a really solid run up from 0.002 to almost a penny and a half. In the November pump, that was really solid. And now it's kind of, you can even just see on the basic chart here, it does have that curvature up 236% on the year. I think my timing talking about XDC was a little off from the video I made at the end of that year there, but is it a coin to have on your radar? I think so. It, obviously is a top 100 project, and I think any coin in the top 100 that has like its own thing, that's not like a, how Pyth is like a part of Solana, like any project that's like right down the middle, that's kind of doing its own thing, I think you should at least have on your radar or have a couple alarms set. I think XCC, I agree with Jason Owen in the chat, XCC has a pretty decent chart. I think it'll be like, the way I look at the top 100 is that there will, in my brain, there's like the top 5, top 10 performers that will probably continue, that are likely to continue to be the big top 10 performers. And then there's like the 11 to 40 gang, which is like the better than half, like not middle of the road, but in the better half of the top 100. And then from 50 to 100, I think that those coins will probably do fine. You'll probably at least double, maybe 3 extra money, but like they're nothing too special. I would put XDC probably between the 40 and 60 mark, literally are right down the middle type coin. But it is one that I have on my alarm. It is, I do have alarm set on this coin, and it is cool to see it being the leader of the day. Losers of the day, Bonk and Athena, ENA. If you watched the members only live stream, we talked about ENA and we talked about Pudgy Penguins, PNGU, because anytime you go to Bitunix, right? And this is where I do all my trading, and you go to futures and you look at, the coins on the left side of the screen that have the most trading volume. All right, it makes sense. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Doge, Suede, Pepe. All right, that all makes sense. But Omni, CFX, ENA, why do those have more trading volume than BNB or Chainlink or Bonk or Cardano or AVAX? Like, that doesn't make sense. So really, we are always trying to target the coins that should not have more trading volume than Cardano or Avalanche. You get my point? When a coin that's out of place finds itself with a bunch of trading volume on Bitunix, my brain immediately goes to that chart. And that is exactly what we did a couple times last week. All right. So we went to Newt. This was a setup we talked about in the Telegram group that we talked about on members only. And look what happened. We were in a pennant. We were in a conditional range. And boom, look at what has happened since that pennant and that conditional range. It completely broke down and just kind of dribbled into nothingness. And it's still just kind of sideways going down. I mean, even in the past, little while here, we're talking, more a 4% range in the past 18 hours. Like it had its pop off. It had its day in the sun. It was in that pennant, right here. And we set that conditional range right here. And we said, okay, there's our short, because that's confirmation breakout, confirmation breakout, breaking down from the pennant, and from that trend line to that low was a 19% short in 3 hours. And now, 26% in 4 days. And that was just one setup that we found in the Telegram group. Why? Because it was out of place on Bitunix. It was way high up in volume when it should not have been. And anytime you find a high volume coin out of place, that should tell you, okay, let's go. And because generally what happens is that the coins that randomly have a bunch of volume like that don't last there for long. They'll have a couple days where they have over 100 million in volume, and then they'll fall off the face of the fucking earth. And that's what happened to Newt, unfortunately. And we even had, and it's funny that we talked to Newt because we had another one, SPK. We touched on this one in the Telegram group as well. Let me kind of zoom in on this chart a little bit for you. So it was in a pennant. We had a tightened range, and then we had a breakout range. So you could have gone long at 11.4 or 11.8. And look at what has happened. I haven't continued this chart, but look at what happened since that breakout, since the trade we were focused on, which was like right here in this chunk of the chart. We had our pennant breakout from 11.4, And from there, we had a 15% trade to the upside in literally 90 minutes. And then guess what? You leave your alarms on. You elongate these alarms. I obviously did not listen to my own advice here, but I completely should have. And here's the point. Because what we previously 1114, an alarm that we previously used as the long alarm because it had the pennant, it was confirmation for the pennant breakout. You later down the road could have used this same alarm as a short right here. And look at what has happened since that alarm. We're talking a bleed of 32% in 3 days. And where did we find SPK? How did we know to target that chart? Because it was where it shouldn't be. It had more volume than Cardano. And when something has more volume than Cardano and should not have more volume than Cardano, you pull that chart and trade that volume while you can. And that is basically the story of SPK. But to kind of continue the thought here, ENA was one that had a complete random wake up. ENA just pumped out of the absolute clear blue sky. Okay. And then we said, okay, well, the market basically was sideways that day. And then this coin has a random, I forget, it was like a 30 or 40 some percent pump out of the clear blue sky. So, and then of course it went to the top of, or at least in the top 7 of trading volume on Bitunix. So we said, okay, well, let's look at the chart on ENA and let's look at what happened to ENA since we talked about it last. Okay, so here we are. It actually continued because at the time, 625 right there, that alarm, that was the previous high at the time. And as you can see here, so let's add the new high, which would be this right here. I'm just going to say this out loud, which is 70 cents. It's 701. And then we have another support resistance we could add right here, which is 64.8. So if this thing happens to turn around, we could target that. We also established that this thing was in just like a basic parallel uptrend where you can try to kind of get the shorts from when, if you're like although you're in an uptrend, you can try to scout this kind of push right down here. And 62.5, which was our previous like high, actually could have ended up being a short, or even 588, this alarm right here, also could have ended up being a short. And guys, I'm giving you these setups. These are Telegram group setups that I'm showing you right now. Okay. And what happened? So from our 62 alarm ends up going down 11% in 22 hours, or even if you just scalp shorted from the 588 alarm. I mean, right there, that's a 5.8% trade in 9 hours. But now look what's happening. Look how what's developing currently. So we know that ENA has had its wake up. This thing, if we go zoom out on the 2 hour here, just for a little bit, you can kind of see the significance of this push. I mean, from the local low down here from 22 cents, I mean, this thing pumped 218% in 35 days. I mean, that's something that's very significant. And it's still technically in this parallel uptrend on the 2 hour chart. So if you had a complete breakdown on this, we would pull these alarms over here and say if 537 went off or even 50 cents went off when it breaks down out of the uptrend, and then that would be breakdown confirmation, like long time frame stuff, more swing trade type ideas. That would kind of be your move right there. Right now, I'm basically conditionally ranging this between these two alarms. We consider going long if 588 goes off because it'll turn around and hit that alarm, or if it continues to plummet, then we would think about a short at 537. The thing about a short at 537 is that when you zoom in here and kind of put this in perspective, if 537 goes off, I am a little weary about that short. Why? Because we're running out of room. Because once I would have imagined in a strong uptrend like this, if it hits this white uptrend line, it's likely to bounce again, and all of these alarms once again become scalp long alarms. So that's kind of why like 537 I would use as a short alarm if it crawled over here, say it ranged like this, and then lost the trend line, and then lost 537. Yes, then I'd be more than happy to short from 537. But shorting from 537 now is scary because you're running out of room in the parallel uptrend. So I'm actually kind of looking at the long to 588. Why? Because you can see that previously in the chart here, it kind of had this little local downtrend, and then look what happened from the local downtrend. Pop. It had this nice little pop up, ended up crawling, however large it was. We can even measure it just for the sake of accuracy. Let's measure just from this breakout to the top here. I mean, that was 52% in 3 days. I mean, that's a trade, ladies and gentlemen. So now we know, okay, well, when it has these sharp little downtrends inside of the larger range here, just like it had this sharp uptrend inside of the range, the break of that uptrend right here, was good for a 17% short in a day and 7 hours. So it's kind of running trend lines inside of the bigger picture of this parallel uptrend. So what is telling me that, okay, well, if we're looking at this very sharp downtrend right here, and if 588 goes off, we will be back above the 50 EMA when that happens. And that's a more, certainly a more confident trade, a higher variance trade than to try to short 537 when you're running out of room. Or if you'd like to add a support resistance alarm right here, I don't hate that either, because right there you can see it was, let me kind of zoom in so you guys can really see what I'm talking about here. So right here you can see that this was rejected multiple times, and then we had a solid bounce right there, and then we blasted through this right here, which kind of shows there's a little lack in volume in between those alarms. And this alarm would be 559.5 cents. So I would say that, going from 588 would make sense, but also having a second alarm at 59 and a half, not 59.1, sorry. That would make a lot of sense for a long trade, anticipating the bounce back into to get itself towards the top of this parallel uptrend. Oh, I meant to draw a line there. If we're ranging back and forth in this uptrend, we had our pop up, we had our push down. The next push forward would make sense based off of how this is kind of shaping up for ENA. And to tie this all back together, where did we get this? We got this because it was a top mover that day. It was a top mover on CoinGecko, and it had an insane out of place amount of volume on Bitunix. And that gave us the wherewithal to say, okay, let's hit this chart. And look how many times you could have traded those alarms since we talked about that literally a couple days ago. Kind of just painting the picture on why these trades are so consistent, why you target high volume charts, and why all these setups are in the Telegram group. And if you're in the Telegram group and you're paying attention, you're probably a winning trader. It's that simple. VeChain Franklin Templeton, I know that is some big stuff there. I could not be more excited for VeChain. And it's actually really interesting, that a lot of coins are falling today, 5-4% losers. VeChain is kind of holding at 2.5 cents, which is really strong to see. I think that, I think Vet's going to have a bull run for sure. Like, let me just pull a different chart here. I was kind of looking at Dogecoin before the show started. Let me pull up a VeChain chart just to do it. But yeah, so I like that there are no marks on this chart. Well, there are old marks on this chart, but as you can see, from the December push up to 8 cents, VeChain kind of has come down and has been rejected, still underneath the 786, which is not a sign of weakness, as it is a sign of, once it gets above this support resistance, this previous high here, that's really going to be your sign. Even if, you kind of consider getting above that previous high where we literally topped just under 3 cents. So big alarm for VeChain at 3 cents and a big alarm at 3.3. So 3 cents and 3.3 are massive springboard alarms for VeChain when you're talking, daily chart type stuff. And it has kind of gone sideways a little bit. That is bound to happen in ranges like this. It's been trading in an 11% range for the past 7 days. So a week inside of 11% range. So kind of let's define, you could even draw this little baby uptrend right here, or you can even tie it to, this more previous uptrend like that, or you could set an alarm at the local low here at 2444, or even the little wick low before that at 237. And of course, for a scalp long alarm, we have perfect floor ceiling support resistance for VeChain at 0.268. And I would say that's a pretty fair long alarm for VeChain based off of how I'm looking at this chart. But ultimately, I really do like seeing the curvature here. It's good to see that, you know, on the macro low, it did not put in a lower low here. We do kind of have a really safe floor established. And I think that VeChain, you know, obviously now that it makes things a little bit easier now that we did put in a local high here. Why? Because now we can kind of draw this line and tell ourselves, okay, let me change the color of this too. I'm going to change this to white. And then we can show this local uptrend here, which is going to intersect with that, you know, with that downtrend. This point of intersection right here for VeChain is August 29th. So by August 29th, VeChain is going to be forced to either break up out of the downtrend that started from May high, or it's going to break down from the uptrend that started, you know, towards the end of June here. So that pennant right there is really important to have those alarms set on that pennant. And what's important about what I said about these original support resistance alarms here, this is at 299. Okay, is that if 299 goes off, that's confirmation that we broke up and out of that pennant, which is a very strong alarm. If that alarm goes off, get bullish on VeChain. If VeChain goes back into the 3-cent range, it is going to explode because that is downtrend breakout type conversation. And then, of course, on the flip side of the conditional range, you don't want to see these two alarms go off down here because those would likely, if they go off on the wrong side of the trend line, that could spell bad news, or at least spell, you know, it will take longer than August to have the conversation. Basically what I'm saying is that I hope that this squeeze causes a push kind of on the early side of September rather than a longer bleed out and then a more like curved into October. I think the ceiling for the bull run across the board for alts down the street like VeChain, alts like Arbitrum, alts like Algorand, the higher we see the floor maintain now, I think the higher we're going to see those coins push once the real bull run begins. Because we can agree across the board, what we saw last year, at the end of last year, December, that was not a real proper altcoin bull run. We have not seen a proper altcoin bull run since 2021. It's that simple. It's cut and dry. So what I'm saying is that if we see, you know, kind of going back to this chart here, is that it's a much stronger look for if you're a proponent of a 12, 15, 30 cent VeChain, it would be a lot stronger for it to be on the upside of this trend line rather than, you know, crawling back down to under 2 cents before continuing. I'm just talking from the sign of strength. We want to see this pennant break to the upside before the end of August. Very important alarm for the VFam there. All right. Do got a couple stories I want to run through really quick. Let me check at the chat. August price target for VeChain. Well, I think I could. I'd rather make a whole video out of that. I'm gonna make a whole video out of that instead of just answer the question on the live stream. AJ, Polymarket should make us insane amounts in August. For sure, dude. Like, guys, I sometimes I gotta pat myself on the back. Sometimes I just gotta pat myself on the back. The last episode of No Sweat Bets, we were cooking on No Sweat Bets. We called 3 UFC fights. The DeRitter fight alone paid for our entire shopping trip. Literally yesterday, we flew off the island, went shopping, flew back. One fight paid for the whole thing. Thank God. DeRitter won by split decision. Like I said, he was going to win. We called it. And then also, Oscar Piastri won the F1 race, just like I said he would on No Sweat Bets. And that adds to his point lead on his teammate Lando Norris. who kind of started to squeeze up in the points lead, and now Oscar is kind of starting to extend the points lead. So guys, I still got to bet on Oscar to win the F1 Drivers Championship. No Sweat Bets has been, we've called way more than we've lost across the board. If you want to get picky, say, oh, like you were wrong about the astronomer timing. Oh, you were wrong about this fight here and there. Yeah, guys, we're going to make wrong calls here and there. But if you go across the board, and say you bet an even amount of money on every single call I've made on No Sweat Bets, you have certainly made a lot of money. We have called way more correctly than we've called wrong. And it shows, kind of shows on my own Polymarket account as well. Obviously, we're, into the multi six figures, not really upset about that. So I know some people want to see Algo, some people want to see AVAX. I'm cool with that. We can look Algo, we can look at AVAX. But first, I do want to go over a big shout out to Polymarket for sponsoring this channel. I do have a big phone call with my contacts from Polymarket tomorrow because my point of contact basically changed because they're doing a big push. Polymarket is coming back to America. And luckily, I was one of their only crypto KOLs before that change. So I am actually going to be like a leader for Polymarket, leading with No Sweat Bets, doing a lot of stuff online, and I am honored to be that guy, considering how much I love talking about sports, talking about racing, talking about politics, talking about crypto's the doorway, but No Sweat Bets and Polymarket is really like my springboard to not break out of crypto, but not just only do crypto content. It allows me to do content about anything, and that's actually amazing because for me to only talk about crypto is actually kind of stealing from you guys, because I can make a lot of money outside of crypto, no problem. And to take that knowledge away and just make this a crypto only channel is theft. So big thing, shout out to Polymarket. Seriously, sign up with the link down below. You do need a VPN for now, but if you get signed up now, you won't need a VPN here pretty soon because it's about to be legit in America. And I do want to say, before I get to the news stories, before I get to the rest of the charts and everything else, where is this? Here's this bet. We talked about this on No Sweat Bets last week. Will Polymarket go live in the US in 2025? Right now it says 68% yes. If you bet $10,000, you'd get just about $14,000. If you bet $100, $145, $1,000, $1,442. Yes, Polymarket will go live in the US in 2025. That's a free bet. You heard it here first on AJ Writes Crypto. All right, let's talk about the rest of the show. Got a handful of news stories I want to go into. Where did I put the news? Here we go. Bang, bang, boom. All right, so U.S. Senate bill seeks to include mortgage approval. Seeks to include crypto in mortgage approval process. If passed, the legislation could give more weight to U.S. housing regulatory agencies' June order to consider certain digital assets for mortgage loan risk assessments. Guys, imagine paying your mortgage with crypto. Imagine that. I mean, I don't want to read the whole article like word for word, and I don't have my glasses on, but right here, this legislation embraces an innovative path to wealth building, keeping in mind the growing number of young Americans who possess digital assets, says Cynthia Lummis. The proposed bill, the 21st Century Mortgage Act, would take congressional action following a June order from the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency that the U.S. mortgage purchases, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, would be required to consider cryptocurrency as an asset for single-family loans. Guys, this is massive. This is what I've been saying for years, is that once the more people can use crypto for real world things and the more easily accessible it is, we always use those two words, mass adoption. I've said those words so many times, it almost gives me a headache and I don't want to beat a dead horse. But when you see, things going into votes going on like this, that will include crypto in mortgage approval processes, where like buying houses with crypto, paying rent in crypto, like that is kind of like what I'm not I'm talking ahead of the story, but that's kind of the pathway to everything being through crypto eventually. This is absolutely insane. Insane. Cynthia Lummis is an absolute powerhouse. To follow that up, actually in this story, later in the story, they are talking about that more crypto bills are incoming. This is not the only one. And also this story right here, crypto industry braces for White House, quote, regulatory Bible on rules, Bitcoin reserves, and taxes. Cody Carbone, CEO at the Digital Chamber, called the incoming report a regulatory Bible. A source familiar with the matter said so far there seems to be nothing in the report, talks about Bitcoin reserves, but said that could change on the fly. So basically, it's coming down to the rules are being created, like the framework is set, but exactly how this is going like to be figured out by the quote deciders hasn't really completely been locked down yet. But we know that in the Trump administration and with the crypto week and all three of those bills passing, you know, the CBD, the anti-CBDC Act, the Genius Act, and all that, this is, I'm not going to go too far into this, but basically the pathway for crypto in the way we all perceived crypto is like, this is the stuff that takes crypto from a $4 trillion industry to a $40 trillion industry. And I think sometimes too many people go too far in the political weeds. And I've tried to stay away from that with this channel. And I've tried to focus on, hey, look at the implications here. And for me and for your gains, your bags, which is really honestly why we're here. Why else are we doing the show? Why are we watching the show? To fucking make money. Let's not lie. Let's not beat around the bush. That's why you're here. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I'm not going to go too far in the weeds. But this is the stuff that's going to make crypto a $40 trillion industry. And it's literally happening every day in Trump's America. It's that simple. It's that simple. Nothing's set in stone, but we're clicking it off one day at a time. And I am here for it. I will tell you that. Also, someone said in the chat about the rate cuts. Definitely where it is. Right here. Polymarket, Fed decision in July. I know it's like coming up here in like the next day or two. I forget the exact date. But basically no change has gone up. It might have happened already. Was it today? I actually don't know. I didn't see the news. But I remember last month when this was actually at 95% at one point. And the last Fed decision, some guy bet like $1 million or something. Hold on. If you were to bet yes on no change, hold on. No. Some guy bet like $2 million. Yeah, right now, if you bet $2 million, you'd win 10 grand. And honestly, that's a lot of exposure, but that's not a bad bet because there is going to be no change. Like that's obviously duh. You know what I mean? I don't think that there will be, I mean, I don't know why people are adding positions for a slash. There is not going to be a slash in July. It's not happening. I stand by that. And although these kind of 98% bets are a batshit crazy, or even if you know a normal person bet $10,000, you'd still win $193. And in my eyes, that's a free $193. It's tomorrow. Okay, it's tomorrow. I wasn't sure. I don't have that written down. And I really haven't been paying attention to the Fed stuff because I know Powell's going to do nothing. That's like why I'm not like, well, I don't know the date and I don't care because I know he's just going to pause. But don't get me wrong. Nothing's going to happen. And if you want to bet, 20 grand on Polymarket, or let's say you did $30,000, you'd win $573. And that's a lot of exposure, but it's also free money because nothing's going to happen. Very quick, I got a Cardano story and a couple of charts and a couple of things I want to talk about. But first, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of this channel, Decrypted Tax. Guys, if you have not done your crypto taxes yet, a lot of crypto people wait until October. I know I do. And you are, say you're playing with NFTs, you're playing with leverage trading. One, you probably don't know all the things that you could write off. You probably don't understand all the things that go into properly communicating with the IRS what it is or you are not doing with your crypto taxes. And I even know that Ernest even told me, who you could schedule a free consultation with him, that people literally have real tax people do their crypto taxes. And he's like, yeah, I've looked at so many things that are inaccurate and wrong. And it's like, it freaks me out. So many people are sending this stuff to the IRS because all it takes is just one audit, dude. You know what I mean? You don't want to be on the wrong side of Uncle Sam. Make sure you're getting your crypto taxes done by a professional. This is the guy. He's been in the game for years. He's a wealth of knowledge, walking encyclopedia. We just did an interview on the channel. I'm going to have him come on the channel probably sometime next month to do like a live Q&A on the live stream with you guys. But if you want to get your crypto taxes done properly, make sure you check out Decrypted.tax. Also, I grew up as a touring musician. Music is something very near and dear to my heart. And I partnered with Suede AI because they are revolutionizing. They are merging the world of crypto and blockchain and music. And basically, the music industry sucks. It's that simple. It's insane to me that like major artists don't even own their own thoughts or own their own songs or own their own chord progressions or whatever. Like basically, I know signed artists that are signed to major labels that have millions of followers on the internet that I am personal friends with, and I make more money than them with my 55,000 followers on Twitter. That's not okay. That's not okay. And it's because the middleman of the music industry just leeches and squeezes artists for as much juice as they can. And once there's no more juice to get squeezed out of them, they throw them in the trash. And the person that got thrown in the trash owns nothing. And Suede is fighting back against that, basically saying, okay, if you want to create your own record label with one click, do that. If you want to write a song with a single AI prompt, do that. And this is the kind of platform where I'm not talking about the coin here. The coin doesn't matter to me much. What matters to me is what they're attempting to do to the music industry, because someone at some point has to fight back for the artist and give them a pathway to properly pursue their careers in music without getting leached off of by the industry. And that's what my partnership with Suede is all about. Because before I got into crypto, I played bass, I played guitar, I did vocals, I played piano. I've been in like $100,000 bands. I've been like 100 bands from high school to through college and everything. And at the end of the day, like, I love music. I love playing with my friends. I love jamming in the garage. I loved going on tour. That was all fun. But did we make a fucking penny? No. And the words we used, the last band that I toured with, that tour was actually 9 years ago right now. We played our show in Nashville 9 years ago today. It was a signed band, and we made nothing. We made nothing at all. It was a great time. We made nothing. So yeah, and Suede's fighting back against that. Big shout out to them. I'm at a point with crypto where I can pick and choose the projects and the people I do and do not want to work with. And from here on out, I'm only going to align myself with projects that I think have a legit chance to make changes. And that explains why I'm with Suede. And I want to see more artists, succeed and not just get used up, spit out, chewed up, spit out, boot off stage. You know what I'm saying? Algorand chart. Let's do that. I know a couple people wanted to see it. I got some old squiggles here. That these old squiggles actually make complete sense, because what I was saying here is that Algorand has been putting in higher highs consistently, from the high in Jan 24, March 24, and of course December 24, and that kind of creates this uptrend. And if you kind of draw a line at 2026, which would be like right here, that would kind of intersect like the timeline, which would, if Algorand was at the top of this uptrend, would put Algorand around $1.12. Some people get me wrong when I say, oh, he only thinks Algorand can go to $1 or $1.12. Guys, $1 minimum dollar for Algorand in the real crypto bull run. And I'm going to be the first person to tell you that I absolutely hate timelines. I learned this from BitBoy. BitBoy said, oh, $2,500 Ethereum by Valentine's Day. And Ethereum didn't get the $2,500 by Valentine's Day, and they chewed his ass out. The chat, dude, he was bummed. He was bummed about that. And guess what? It hit at 2,500 just like 3.5 weeks later. So like he was right about the number. He was just wrong about the timeline. And although based off the Bitcoin halving cycle and what we've seen from previous cycles, a year and a half after the halving tends to be when we see the top, which projects this run Q3, Q4 this year, probably October, November, which we have been saying for a while. But there is a scenario here. I would not be surprised if this bull run goes well into 2026. Well into 2026. Why? One, altcoin ETFs. They have been delaying the decision making because they're trying to get their ducks in a row with the CFTC. But like Litecoin, AVAX, and Hedera, and even Pudgy Penguins, a handful of coins are viewed as commodities, have a 90% chance approval rating, and the deadlines are like November, October-ish. They're kind of spread across a couple months. And once Bitcoin ETF made so much money, it only made sense for everything else to start getting ETFs. And once all altcoins get ETF, we'll be able to have indexes. Once we have index, 70% of stock market transactions are for stock market indexes, like baskets. And once crypto, you can have baskets and you can like choose your own baskets and stuff like that. It's just going to like juice the industry with billions and billions and billions of dollars. So what I'm saying is that when the regulatory framework is that stuff takes time. Congress takes time. Like, let's be honest, it takes time. There's that aspect of it. Aspect number two is that, okay, if we're projecting based off Bitcoin having, November, September, October, like in that realm, okay, but once it's January 26th, once it's February 26th, the regulatory version and institutional accessibility version of crypto is going to be at its all-time high. And what if we finally start getting interest slashes? We've hit a new Bitcoin all-time high without a single interest slash. Powell is sitting on his ass. Like, what happens when the macro storm makes more sense? That's what I'm saying. Do I think there will be a massive pump at between now and the end of this year? Yes. Am I saying that pump will be when all-time highs are printed? No. They could be, but I am a very strong proponent of the lengthened cycle theory, where this could be a cycle that continues, that just keeps going. Like, I'm not saying there won't be bear markets, but I'm saying that I believe because of the regulatory, the macro framework, the regulatory framework, and Donald Trump's America, where we are going to be the crypto AI capital of the world, and institutions will be, once altcoin ETFs roll out, you're going to see all the other altcoins that aren't getting ETFs, they will get ETFs. And by the time that happens, and you'll be able to buy mortgages with crypto, more accessibility, stuff like that, and we get interest slashes, dude, it's kind of just like a storm brewing, like the stars aligning. And the bottom line is that I wouldn't be surprised if we topped off at like May next year. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So like, I don't like being stuck on a timeline. I'm not making the Valentine's Day mistake, but I am going to say that I don't think things just end because 2025 ends. That's very narrow thought, because at that point in 2026, there will be positive crypto regulation. Interest will turn around, and altcoins will never have been as accessible then as they are now. It makes more sense to see a real bull run in 26. I'm not saying we won't see one this year. I'm just saying that I don't think it's going to stop this year. I think we're going to go to new highs. Crypto went to $4 trillion back in fucking 2021. In 2021, the total crypto market cap went to 4 trillion. What is it right now? What is it right here, right now? Oh, I don't know. 3.931 trillion. So you're telling me in 2021, there was a point where we were bigger now than we are now. And now we have everything on our side, including regulation, which we never even could have dreamed of having back in 2021. And you're telling me that, like, we're not going to 10 trillion. 12, you know, I think there's going to be a point where like the total crypto market cap, like 15 trillion is going to be the retest. Like people haven't grasped that yet. The fact that it's still under 4 trillion to me right now is laughable. Laughable. Think bigger. Think beyond October. Think beyond this current run. This is going to continue through Trump's administration. Big time. I used to say 8 to 12 trillion for like if I base when I made my price predictions back on the price prediction department, I would always base things off of dominance. And if we had that same dominance at a total cap of 8 to 12 trillion, I would have a range. That's kind of what I said. But now I think peak bull run, if crypto doesn't go to like 17, 19 trillion, I think we failed. Like I think we failed. I think that once crypto goes above a $10 trillion industry, it will probably not ever come back to a $4 trillion industry. The overall floor will be so much higher than it is right now. I bet my bottom dollar on that. I really would. Okay, let's continue on. Oh yeah, that Cardano story. Where's my Cardano story? Oh yeah, basically, let me finish my Algorand TA. So I was talking about kind of explaining why some bears on Twitter said, oh, it's the only thing it's going to $1. No, I'm saying it's going to $1 minimum. Get your facts straight. Not to mention, so obviously, guys, we had this very sharp run, you know, from June low in 25 days, 112% pump. And guys, I did say this on the show that when we saw the December pump, you know, kind of, we're talking timelines here. We go from the November low to that top, you know, happened in, oh, excuse me, that was an incorrect measurement. One moment. When you go from the November low to that top, it happened in 29 days, 473% in 29 days. Dead coins don't do that, just so I'm saying. And then when you kind of consider, okay, this low here to this top, that was 25 days. So this kind of new meta of alt cycles where it's not a proper bull run, but like you get a pump and then we give it back and you have a pump and we give it back. Well, that basically, you know, the one on the left took 29 days and the smaller one on the right took 25 days. And I'm hoping that Algorand finds a way to like hold, like to have, like I said with VeChain earlier, it needs to hold its value. Because like if it completely breaks down again, that is a sign of weakness. Like without a doubt, that's a sign of weakness. So if we kind of look at, you know, local uptrend here, and then we kind of look at what it's facing into from this, which is a very sharp downtrend, by the way, that puts this point, let me kind of scoot this up on the screen. That puts this point of intersection August 13th. So by August 13th, Algorand will either come all the way down to below 21 cents and lose this local uptrend formed back here, or it will break this strong downtrend that it's in now. And I will certainly be leaning towards the break up and outside. This support resistance level right here is at 249. So you know, let's basically go ahead and say 25 cents. I would really like to see Algorand hold that. Why? Because obviously we had a fight for it back here. We had a perfect rejection right here, and we had a perfect bounce right here. That is 249 is the support resistance level for Algorand. We do not want to see that get lost. That is the level. And then obviously previous high, 29 cents. And then there's another support resistance level in the middle of that from where it stopped out on the way up at 27. So those are really the main Algorand alarms for me right now. Would be awareness alarm at 27, previous, you know, not previous high, but where we popped up to and were rejected by, that was at 29 cents. Obviously previous high matters, 33, 34 cents, but the level we really don't want to lose, the level we're talking about scalp shorts is 249. There is your Algorand overview for today. Shout out to the Algo fans. Smash the likes if you're bullish on Algorand, because what big picture stuff, I am extremely bullish on Algorand. Minimum dollar. Minimum. Cardano's Apple Pay integration could bring ADA to 500 million. Dude, what a headline. What a headline. VO Cardano kit. You know, I'm going to tell you guys something. Last year, I had an opportunity to interview Charles Hoskins. I had the card and the green light from his assistant. And not to mention, I'm friends with Big Pay, who's doing big things at Atrium. And I said, you know what? I had a lot going on last year, and I'm sure the video would have done well. But like, something told me to like wait. Like, you don't need to rush that one. Like, if you know you can interview Charles Hoskinson, cool. But don't just do it because you can. Do it when something happens that like projects Cardano to like the next level. Like do it when the hype for Cardano builds back up. Yeah, I'm not saying like I'm not supporting them at the bottom. That's not what I'm saying at all. I've always been bullish on Cardano across the board. You've never heard me hate on Cardano, not once publicly or privately, ever. I've always been a Cardano bull. Is it the biggest coin in my bag? No. But have I always held Cardano? Yes, for sure. And I'm saying that something told me to not play that card because there would be a better reason to interview Charles later down the road. And I think pretty soon I'm going to play that card, because if Cardano really integrates with Apple Pay, that's fucking crazy. That's insane. If this is for real and Cardano integrates with Apple Pay, bro, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what, like, oh my God. Like, dude, that would be crazy talk. I mean, it's 78 cents. It's 78 cents. I know this chart's kind of messy. Let me clean it up. But like, there's so much upside for Cardano, and like the fact that it is like that ADA is still, it's like it's still a smaller. Yeah, it you know, it's not like let me do my homework here. What is the exact market cap on Cardano right now? I kind of forget. 30? Is it 30? 28.2. $28.2 billion market cap for Cardano. Currently valued at 78 cents. Similar to Algorand. Look at this. Very similar to Algorand. How it has been putting in these higher highs from these highs established from the little baby meta pumps throughout 2024 and 2025. And then, of course, we have this absolutely insane. And by the way, if you zoom in on this chart, we did have this alarm right there in the Telegram group. Just so you know, just to pat myself on the back, we did call this pump right here, which was 243% in 20 days. I didn't know what happened in 20 days, but we did call the alarm. And since then, kind of had a little bit of a flag, you know, kind of parallel downtrend type setup. We have broken up and out of that. You know, 84.2 is previous support resistance. The high for the previous high now is 926. I would add that alarm too. Very important alarm. And then, you know, levels you don't want to see it lose. I would say conditionally ranging Cardano between, I would say that low right there, 70. Let me make this smaller. Hold on, more precise trend line. Yeah, I would say 75.5 would be like the short for me. Okay. So if you're currently conditionally ranging Cardano, where 82 cents you consider long, 75.5 you consider short, and you don't really care what happens in between, that's like initial thing number one. Number two is that you could also, you could draw this downtrend the way I have it drawn, or you could draw it like this, because I was ignoring the wick here to bring this in, which actually made sense for this trade. Okay, like downtrends, uptrends don't all have to be drawn a single way. And I draw things separately or multiple versions of them for whatever reason here and there. Kind of reintegrate this. So if we draw it like this instead, now respecting this previous wick and our recent rejection, that puts 92.6 as a breakout confirmation level. And depending on how long it takes, 84.2 could also become a breakout confirmation level. Where, you know, with the 75, yeah, you could go short here, but you're also running out of room with the uptrend that's starting from here. So point of intersection for Cardano, December 5th, 2025. And similar to VeChain, similar to Algorand and Cardano, I will go ahead and say I believe this is going to break out much more likely than it is to break down out of this pennant. And if to finish my thought, similar to Algorand, with, you know, kind of drawing the line at 2026, saying if it was able to kind of get in this range because of these higher highs happening along the way here, you know, that could kind of put Cardano somewhere between $1.61 and about $2. Yeah, that's like based off of a trend line. But I'm saying that if Cardano integrates with Apple Pay, yeah, dude, Cardano's going to fucking rip. It's gonna rip. I need to buy more Cardano. I think sometimes I buy other coins just because the market caps are so much smaller and like the math is so much more simple. But like I think Cardano is like, I'd say like Cardano and AVAX are like the two coins that have larger market caps that I'm like cool with aping in on. For different reasons, obviously. But, you know, I could see Cardano really having itself a run here. I really could. The setup's just so simple, man. The setup's so simple. It has, you know, big. I mean, this uptrend really could continue on, and that's kind of what I'm saying, guys. If like say that this is like the bottom of the uptrend that becomes 2026, like I don't think you should say it's the end just because 2025 concludes. I'm telling you, this cycle is going way past 2025. I'm going to stand by that. All right. Also, someone wanted me to look at Avalanche earlier in the show. Let me do that. Looking at a daily really quick. Let me find a cleaner chart that doesn't have a bunch of stuff on it. All right. So Avalanche, kind of more different setup than Cardano, where, you know, where the highs. So like Cardano and Algorand kind of have the setups that are like this, where Avalanche is a little bit different because now it put in a lower high. So the chart's like a different direction, but the upside to that is that these now become targets. And this target right here, let me draw this better. This one right here at 65, $65.13 makes complete sense because it is perfect floor ceiling support resistance right there. So, you know, I would say that would kind of constitute as like my minimum for Avalanche from here, which is still 168% from right now. And then also we kind of have, you know, the longer term uptrend that has been respected. And then obviously big point of intersection over here is really not until 2027, which makes me think that that we absolutely have to get a move on here, and that this project is extremely undervalued. Not to mention, just to get back to the December high is 126%. And it actually trading this chart is actually pretty simple right now based off of this line right there. Can you guys see that, or am I too far down? Let me pull it up just a little bit. That circle, that white circle, that is all you need to know about Avalanche right now. That bounce. Because look at where we've been rejected. And look at when it ranged in here. Look at this range, okay? And look at every time it has crossed this level. Here we are. Here we are. So this thing does not really like to sit under, I'd say right there. So 32.8. I think that's a give me. What do I mean by give me? I think that whenever Avalanche breaks this massive, extremely important support resistance level at 2733. Sorry, let me get my here. 27.33. That is the most important level, support resistance level on the Avalanche chart. 2733. And if we look at how quickly it bounced, how quickly it came down, how quickly it bounced, how quickly it came up, if we go long from 2733, it is a guarantee to get to 32.8. That is a free trade. That is a free trade based off volume alone. And that's 20%. That is 20%. I bet if we put it on the volume range, the visible range volume profile, like I'm doing right now, look, there is a gap right here, as expected, because it does not spend time in here. This is no man's land. This is no man's land. So if it gets above 27.33, you got a free 20% trade up to 32.8. That's just talking trade stuff. But moving forward, I really think that AVAX is minimum going to get past this previous December high. I would like to see it in the 170, 180 range, bullish scenario. But this one's a little bit easier to keep a hold on compared to Cardano, compared to Algorand, because this one's in like a pennant and it's in a downtrend, and it put in lower lows. So the thing is with that is that it's easier to trade because it's easier to monitor the breakout, or even if you set like, breakout alarms, like depending on where it actually gets out of the pennant, because like it could get out of the pennant up here, or it could take longer and wiggle out later. Right. And being able to keep an eye on that makes it easier to trade, knowing that once it breaks the downtrend, it's off to the races for Avalanche. So yeah, Cardano and Avalanche, if I had like an altcoin checklist of like how I want to break out my portfolio, like we know that for my personal, this bull market strategy, I'm not an Ethereum guy. I'm not a Bitcoin guy. I've always kind of looked further down the charts to get the most gains as possible. But does not mean I'm not willing to anchor my portfolio, as in put a certain percentage of the portfolio into higher market cap coins that will kind of stabilize that portion of the bag. So like if worst case scenario the whole thing doesn't go to complete shit. So I would say you don't want too many anchors. You don't want 50% of your portfolio to be in the top, 20. So I would say most people pick between Cardano or XRP, where XRP really already had its pump. And if a XRP went to $6 from here, you wouldn't even double your money. So buying new XRP at this point for me right now, I don't care. If it goes to $100, I missed it, it's fine. I'm rich. But I am not buying XRP from this point. I'm keeping the XRP I have. I'm not buying more. In terms of buying more from here, my altcoin checklist, to have a balanced portfolio throughout the top 100, I'm certainly looking Cardano and Avalanche as my larger market cap picks. And then Algorand, Arbitrum, and VeChain are all very close to each other in market cap. I believe somewhere between 2.4, 2.6 billion last time I checked. And then kind of throw Ondo in there as well. And then as you kind of go a little bit further down the list, that's where you can add other coins like Jasmy, or ApeCoin, et cetera, et cetera. So those are really the big ones for me. Arrow, another one that I hold a little bit of as well. I mean, I'll show you guys my public portfolio right here. Where's the tab? Where that tab at though? Spot. Going down a little bit since the last video. Nothing too crazy, but we're still cruising 625,000. I think this portfolio has 420 in. So overall, we're up about 200 grand on this bag. Leader is Ondo, but Ondo became the leader. It was not purchased the leader. And then Ondo, Algorand, VeChain, Hedera, Jasmy, Arbitrum, Ape, Sui, Injective, AVAX, Cardano. And that's what I mean by the anchor, is that like to have exposure to large market cap coins, but don't have them, weigh down the bag too much. Because I mean, obviously the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the top 6 in my public bag are Ondo, Algo, Vet, Hedera, Jasmy, Arbitrum. And that is because of where they are by market cap, where Hedera is kind of the anchor here because it's basically a top 20 coin if you're not talking stable coins, or it might be 20 with stable coins, I forget. But anyway, like, so there is an anchor here in my top 6, but the rest of them have a lot more upside in terms of basic market cap math. So I really like the distribution with this portfolio. And of course, I do have smaller splashes in the bag that range from Optimism, Sonic. The $500 of Pump Fund was $1,000 that I bought just because I wanted to see how it performed. That coin went to complete shit. That was more of an experiment than a strategy, just so you know. And then the NEAR, the TARS, the B3, the FET, the Pyth, that's all kind of just little $4,000, $5,000 splashes that if they catch, they catch. If not, like, that's not really the focus of the portfolio. The focus of the portfolio for me is everything from virtuals up. So virtual, Render, ADA, AVAX, Injective, Sui, Ape, Arbitrum, Jasmy, HBAR, Vet, Algo, Ondo. That's the gist of my portfolio. And this bag is going to do extremely well publicly once this thing really wakes up. I hold NFTs too. Obviously, I have a Bored Ape behind me. I did have a second Bored Ape. I sold it. Why? Because I bought it for $22,000 and I sold it for $47,000. Kind of felt like a nice come up to me. It's not like that's like kind of like a PFP, a part of my Web3 identity. That's my forever ape. I'm never going to sell that one. But I'm not beyond buying things and flipping them just like I would any other crypto. I really don't like the tribalism of some people in crypto. I think the worst thing that ever happened to your gains was being a community member. And I'm not saying to not be a community member, but I am saying that, okay, well, say if I sold some Algorand, I don't want people in the Algo fan being like, oh, like, aren't you one of us? Like, why'd you sell? Do you not believe? I'm like, no, I just made money. Just like you should be doing. So, and there's a lot of that in the ape community. There's a lot of that in a lot of communities, to be honest. And honestly, I don't care at all. We're here to make money, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, be a community member and get involved and meet people and like socialize and be a part of communities. But at the end of the day, like, don't not get your bag because you're scared to sell because you don't want to make people mad. I don't give a shit if people get mad. Like people on the internet haven't been mad at me before. Like, I don't care. And I think having that kind of callous and like knowing when to ignore people, knowing when to not take the bait, knowing just how to stay focused and doing what you're doing, and like having that kind of callous form of selfishness. I think selfish gets a bad connotation. I think selfishness makes people rich because you can delegate your time properly. And I think knowing how to do that is extremely big deal. Extremely big deal. Paul Sheehan, is Ben still locked up? I wish him out. Well, Ben is currently in a mental institution. He finished his 70 days and then he went to the judge and they put him in a mental hospital. I don't really know the details. That's all I know. I don't know how long he's going to be there. Obviously, he had a complete meltdown. I tried to help him as much as I could until he crossed the line with me. If I hope he's getting the help he needs, and if he gives me a heartfelt apology one day, I'd happily give him a hug and wish him the best and help him in any way I could. But he's obviously where he needs to be, and that's where I'll leave that right there. So yeah, very cool. So Vidran says, I don't have better. I don't think they have better on Bitunix. They do not have better on Bitunix, as you can see right here. and Bitunix is my exchange sponsor for my channel. And obviously no VPN, no KYC, really solid leverage volume. Bitunix is like the perfect place to build a portfolio because it shows you your average buy without having to run the numbers with a calculator on that. I do have better. It's just not in my public portfolio, and my public portfolio is only on Bitunix, and that's the deal I made with them. So I do have better. It's just not public. Amazing. Well, I think that about wraps up my show here, guys. I do want to say the Tesla giveaway is definitely still a thing. We're 11 days away. There is a world where if something might happen, and if it happens within 11 days, we might extend this giveaway by 1 week. If this thing happens. If it doesn't happen, we'll do it next time for the next giveaway. But if something happens, the 11 days might become 18 or 20 days. If. It depends. If not, 11 days. That's all. That's just between us. All right. But I'm not telling you what it is because I don't like to do that. But for now, in 11 days, some of my audience is going to win a brand new Tesla. Or if you don't want the car, you'll win $42,000 in crypto. 15 people win $100 in VeChain. And there are exclusive VeChain merch packs that you can't buy. You can't get anywhere else. They're exclusively for this giveaway. So guys, make sure you sign up. Imagine literally buying $42,000 worth of crypto in 11 days, all because you clicked on a stupid giveaway on my live stream. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Also, last thing, this trade chart, something I wanted to talk about. I saved it for the end of the show. When I have sometimes people think that I just make clickbait titles. I generally don't. And every time I have a title for a show, I always hit what it is. I gave you my altcoin checklist, and then I'm going to tell you that this trade is perfect. And what do I mean by this trade is perfect? I mean, this trade I'm about to show you is a perfect setup. And if you don't set these alarms yourself, I don't know what else to tell you. And this trade is one that we nailed it in the Telegram group, but it's developing and it's not over. Pengu, Pudgy Penguin token. This thing is no joke. Do not sleep on the Pudgy Penguin community. As you can see, this thing has kind of had its like downtrend breakout. Over here, again, downtrend breakout. And it works both ways. It's a two-way street here on Pudgy Penguins because we have, for instance, uptrend, breakdown. Even over there, uptrend, breakdown. Okay, so you can kind of see how it works in stripes almost. And what I'll say about this one is that this trend line is a pretty sharp downtrend. I will change the color. I'm going to make it white. I'm going to make it as big as I can. This very thick, long, white downtrend is extremely important on Pudgy Penguins. And as you can see, all these trade alarms that we were talking about this one way back here. And this thing, except for that little pop off, did, for the most part, spent most of a day inside of about a 5% range. And this short right here from this alarm you guys got from the members only at 417, that short was worth 11% in 8 days. Yeah, over 11% in a day and 8 hours. Or even if you shorted from 404, which was another big alarm, that was a 9.5% trade in 12 hours. You guys nailed that one as well. But now it's getting tight here with Pudgy Penguins on the 12-minute chart because we have 377, which was, to be fair, was a perfect scalp alarm for 2-3% right there. And now we're back in between the conditional range of 386 and 377. So what happened every other time it was in this box? Think of this box in between of these two price. What happened every time? Let's grab a rectangle and draw from here and pull it all the way over. And as you can see, Pudgy Penguins does not hang out in this rectangle. It does not just sit between here. It is either coming down or coming up or coming down or coming up. It does not range in this rectangle. Why is that important? Because we're currently in between the rectangle right now. What I also will say is that this previous downtrend over here, we went from about 23% correction in 2 days and 15 hours. This one, from this top to here, currently a 17% rejection in 2 days and 5 hours. So the clock has been ticking. So if we're running the same type of downtrend breakout, that would make sense. And this 0386 alarm, I'm going to make it bigger. Anytime I make an alarm bigger, that matters. I'm even going to change the color to green. I'm colorblind. Hopefully that's green. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a confirmation breakout for this massive downtrend. And we all know what happened last time. To be fair, if the short alarm goes off, we will react to that. This new low here at 368 becomes the target. We have a previous low back here to become the target. But if we get above the 50 EMA, we break the trend line, we break out of the rectangle that we never range in the rectangle, do we? No, we don't. We are moving through this rectangle. And why am I leaning towards this being a breakout instead of a breakdown? Because the point of control is all the way up here. The point of control on Pengu is currently 11.6% above the current price. Not to mention, look how quickly we came down. Look how quickly we came up. Look how quickly we came down. That's as quickly as we could come up. Why? Gap. Look how strong the volume is here. Look how strong the volume is here. This isn't a dead gap, but it is a gap. And there is a lot of volume in the above 4-cent range for Pengu. So guys, I'm telling you, big alarm, 0.0386. That is your Pengu long alarm. You heard it here at Ajwritescrypto. That was for a little nugget, a little congratulations. Thanks for watching the show to the community, because that trade's going to hit it out of the fucking park. I promise you, dude. I got you. Columbo, how do you join the Telegram group? You send an email down below, ajalphagroup@gmail.com. We have been ripping through the emails here lately. We will get to you, within a reasonable amount of time. But guys, that is it for today's show. We went for almost an hour and a half today. Let me do a quick like check here on YouTube. I'm not sure what we're at. Let's do a quick little pulse test here. 75 likes, not bad. I accept 75 likes, but if we could get it to 100, if I go back and look at the show in a couple hours, if it's over 100 likes, guys, I'd really, really appreciate it. And guys, thank you for sticking around for the show. Thank you to all my sponsors, Bitunix, Algorand, VeChain, Market Cipher, Decrypted Tax, Suede AI, Crypto Chips. Guys, also sign up for the Tesla giveaway. Also, there's the Web3 Influencer Awards. Really excited for that, and Rare Evo. And of course, guys, if you are going to Rare Evo, make sure you come up, say hello. I will hang out and say hi and shoot the shit with literally anybody. So if you're going to Rare Evo, make sure you stick your hand out. Happy to chat with you. Happy to talk crypto. That's all I got for today, guys. Have a safe rest of your day. Sign up for that Tesla giveaway. I want to see one of you guys drive away in that Tesla. Safe rest of your day. Get rich or get wrecked. Peace.